9 days after Lionel Messi walked off the field at the FIFA World Cup 2026 final without registering a single shot on target from his own team, the people who actually write football's rulebook just admitted something that could change how history remembers Argentina's entire run through this tournament. It comes down to one red card, one moment in one quarterfinal that a lot of frustrated fans and rival federations have spent the last 3 weeks pointing to as proof that Argentina got the rub of the green again. Now the sports lawmaking body is saying that red card should never have been shown in the first place. So here's the question worth sitting with. Did Argentina actually need the help people accuse them of getting? Or did a video review that ended one player's tournament just become a permanent asterisk on a run that in the end didn't even finish with a trophy? So what's really happening here? Rewind to July 11th at Kansas City Stadium for Argentina's World Cup quarterfinal against Switzerland. Switzerland came in as clear underdogs, but they weren't just making up the numbers. Argentina looked comfortable early, taking a 1-0 lead into halftime. Then, midway through the second half, Swiss forward Don Endo leveled the score, and suddenly a game everyone expected Argentina to cruise through was wide open again. 7 minutes after that equalizer, everything changed. Referee Joe Pinheiro initially booked Argentina's Leandro Paredes for a challenge on Switzerland's Breel Embolo. The video assistant referee flagged the moment for a closer look. When play stopped, the review didn't just confirm or reverse the foul call, it went further. Officials decided Paredes hadn't actually committed a foul and that Embolo had gone down without real contact. Under a new protocol introduced for this tournament, known as mistaken identity, the card was moved from Paredes over to Embolo instead. The problem was, it was Embolo's second yellow of the match. That meant an automatic red, and Switzerland were suddenly down to 10 men with the score still level at 1 apiece. Argentina needed extra time to finally break Switzerland down, eventually winning 3-1 with the extra man clearly shaping how that additional period played out. Embolo walked off in tears, consoled by his own teammates as he passed a stunned Swiss bench that still had 30 minutes of football left to survive. Here's where things get interesting. For nearly 3 weeks, that decision just sat there, unresolved and picked apart by pundits. Switzerland's manager Murat Yakin said afterward that he didn't see enough in the challenge to justify a card at all, let alone one that ended his forwards' tournament in tears. Defender Nico Elvedi said openly that he couldn't follow the logic behind how a video review reached that conclusion. Then, this past Monday, the International Football Association Board, the body that actually writes the laws every referee in the world follows, published a formal clarification, and it landed squarely on Switzerland's side of the argument. According to the board, the mistaken identity protocol exists for one narrow purpose: correcting who committed an offense, not correcting what the offense actually was. Video review is allowed to say the wrong player was booked. It was never supposed to be used to decide that what looked like a foul was actually a dive, and then punish the original victim of that foul instead. That's exactly what happened to Embolo. The review didn't just switch the card to the correct player, it reclassified the entire incident from a foul into simulation and punished him for something the rule was never built to police in the first place. The board didn't dodge that. Its statement acknowledged the approach had been used during the tournament and confirmed it would now be folded into a wider review of VAR protocol that's been running since March, with clearer guidance expected before anything like it happens again. UEFA, European football's governing body, called the clarification a welcome explanation within a day of it going public. That's a notable reaction from an organization with its own teams and its own referees to think about heading into future tournaments. If breakdowns like this are your kind of football content, go ahead and subscribe now, because we're going to keep tracking how this World Cup's controversies play out long after the trophy's already been handed over. But that's only part of the story. Embolo's case wasn't even the first time this exact rule caused confusion at this World Cup. Back in the tournament opener between the United States and Paraguay, USA captain Tim Ream was booked under that same mistaken identity process tied to a challenge involving Paraguay's Miguel Almiron. That decision barely made headlines outside the two camps involved. Embolo's did, because of the stakes and because of exactly who ended up benefiting from it. And Argentina's road through the knockout stage had already been under a microscope before Switzerland even entered the picture. 4 days before the Embolo incident, Argentina faced Egypt in the round of 16. Egypt led 2-0 with just 11 minutes left on the clock, on course for one of the biggest upsets in World Cup history. Then Argentina scored 3 times in 13 minutes to somehow win 3-2. Egypt's Football Association didn't stay quiet about how that happened. They pointed to a disallowed goal in the 62nd minute, ruled out after a VAR review found a foul in the build-up, and to a penalty appeal that was waved away shortly before Argentina's late winner. The federation filed a formal complaint, and head coach Hossam Hassan suggested afterward there may have been pressure on officials to keep Argentina in the tournament. Fact-checkers also had to step in during that same stretch, debunking fabricated claims circulating online about the referee from that Egypt match. This matters because it means the Embolo ruling doesn't exist in isolation. It's landing on top of a tournament where questions about Argentina and refereeing had already been building for weeks, from a different match, a different referee, and a completely different set of circumstances. And it wasn't just the officiating that kept putting Argentina in these positions. The quarterfinal against Switzerland was actually the 3rd straight knockout match Argentina needed extra time to win, after a tense round of 16 escape against Egypt and an even earlier extra time battle against tournament debutants Cape Verde in the round before that. Manager Lionel Scaloni admitted afterward that fortune had been on his team's side more than once during that stretch, which is a rare thing for a defending champions coach to say out loud in the middle of a World Cup. The bigger issue here isn't really whether any single official made one mistake. It's whether football's video review system, expanded further for this tournament than any before it, was actually ready for the pressure of a World Cup at this scale, especially when a team keeps finding itself in one tight, high-stakes moment after another. Quick reminder to hit that subscribe button if you want the rest of this story, because we're just getting into how the players and fans actually reacted to all of it. For Embolo himself, the moment was devastating in real time. Teammates surrounded him as he walked off, and Swiss players spoke afterward about how hard it was to process losing a starting forward to a decision nobody in the stadium fully understood as it happened. For Swiss supporters, it became the defining memory of an otherwise proud tournament run, a team that pushed the defending champions all the way to extra time with 10 men, only to watch the whole story get reduced to one contested card. For Argentina's fans, their reactions split down a familiar line. Some pointed out, fairly enough, that their team still had to go out and finish the job with a numerical advantage, and that extra time is never a formality even against 10 men. Others leaned further into conspiracy territory online, arguing without any real evidence that the entire tournament was being steered to keep Messi's side deep into the knockout rounds. That kind of talk isn't unique to this World Cup. Egypt's own coach used similar language after his side's exit, suggesting money and outside interests were shaping decisions on the pitch. FIFA has firmly denied anything of the sort, and there's no verified evidence behind those broader claims. But perception matters in football almost as much as fact does, and by the time the IFAB clarification landed, plenty of neutral fans had already made up their minds about what they'd watched. If you're enjoying how deep we're going on this one, subscribing genuinely helps a channel like this keep making videos like it, so consider tapping that button before we move into where things go from here. So where does this actually leave things? The result against Switzerland isn't changing. Argentina advanced, and nothing about this clarification comes with the power to retroactively rewrite a scoreline weeks after the trophy's already been lifted. What it does change is the official record. From football's own law-making body, that sending off is now acknowledged as a misapplication of the rule it was issued under. Looking ahead, the more meaningful outcome might end up being procedural. IFAB has confirmed that mistaken identity reviews won't be used to reclassify fouls as simulation again until its broader review, part of what's being called Circular Number 32, is finished. That review was already underway before this tournament even started, and incidents like this one are now shaping how it concludes. What that likely means in practice is a narrower, more clearly defined version of the rule showing up at future tournaments, one that corrects who gets carded without also reopening what actually happened on the pitch. For a system that's only going to get used more, not less, in years to come, closing that particular gap matters a lot more than fixing the outcome of one already finished match ever could. There's also a real irony sitting underneath all of this. Argentina, the team accused for weeks of getting favorable treatment through the knockout stage, still didn't win the tournament. Spain beat them 1-0 in extra time, Ferran Torres scoring the winner in the 106th minute, in a final where Argentina barely created a chance all game. Even in that final, Argentina had a player sent off late, Enzo Fernandez picking up a second booking deep into stoppage time, and nobody questioned that one at all. So whatever pattern people believe they saw through the quarterfinal and the round of 16, it didn't carry Argentina all the way to a trophy. Whether that undercuts the whole bias narrative or simply proves this World Cup's video review system had real, structural problems that had nothing to do with which team happened to benefit is still very much up for debate. Before we wrap up, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe because there's more from this World Cup still to come, and you won't want to miss how this VAR conversation develops from here.